Allen?
Here.
Walkley? She may show up, she's not sure. Alt?
Here.
Bontrager?
Here.
Nichols?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Approve of the meetings of the August 16th, no, yeah, 16th meeting. Where was? Which one was the last one?
May.
May. Any deletions or additions or approve?
I'll make the motion, we approve them.
Second.
Okay. Wanna,
Yes, I do. Motion by Knight, supported by Alt to approve the meeting minutes of 5/17/12. Allen?
Yes.
Bontrager?
Yes.
Knight?
Yes.
Alt?
Yes.
Nichols?
yes.
Okay, they're approved.
Okay. Okay, the public hearing, consider the request of Joshua and Ashley Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just go through a brief presentation. It's really a summary of the staff report, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer afterwards. And the Petersons are here tonight. They also can answer any questions that you might have. So I'll get this going, I hope. There we go. The site of the requested variance, it's located, or you can see the little yellow box, so to speak. It's located at the corner of Air Street and Wheeler Street. Just to acquaint you with the location a little more fully, this is Lincoln Elementary School right here, close by the Clam River Pathway, Clam River Greenway, and essentially it's a residential area in the northern part of the city. And Mr. and Mrs. Peterson recently filed an application to operate what's known as a group child care, daycare, home licensed by the state of Michigan for a capacity of up to 12 children at 317 Air Street, the site we just looked at. And the Petersons, they reside at this address, and they currently operate what is known as a family child care home that's licensed for 6 children. And just to kind of acquaint you with the terminology a little bit, a family child care home licensed by the state for the daycare of children for up to, not to exceed 6 children. Under state law, family child care homes have to be permitted in all residential districts in the city. There's no local zoning approvals required. So just as a point of information, and there are a fair number of those throughout the city. Group child care homes, again licensed by the state for the daycare of up to 12 children, it depends, or it's up to the city as to whether or not they want to require any additional types of approval other than the state, and a lot of cities do. And in the case of Cadillac, it does require planning commission approval. So if somebody wants to operate a group child care home in the city, they have to file a special land use application and come before the planning commission. I want to hopefully get this clear tonight, but as indicated, normally approval of the use, the group child care in this case, rests solely with the planning commission. There's no need for your involvement. Normally you wouldn't see this application coming before you. And very importantly, tonight, you're not approving the use, okay? Your focus is strictly on a variance. And the ordinance stipulates that, in Cadillac at least, child care homes, group child care homes must provide an outdoor, enclosed outdoor play area of 5,000 square feet. The applicants in this case can only provide about 2,000 square feet due to their lot size and the location of the structures on their lot. Have a relatively smaller lot, although it's consistent with the lots in the neighborhood. And the structures on the lot, the home, garage, and so forth, tend to be centrally located, so it effectively limits their ability to come up with additional outdoor play space. So in this case, they initially actually filed 2 applications. They filed an application seeking a variance in both the outdoor play space, and also they were seeking a variance related to a fence need. That's been taken care of. They don't need a variance for the fence. That's all been resolved. We've worked it out. So they're only looking at a variance for the outdoor play space. We set that up, the public hearing, and unfortunately, as you know, we weren't able to get a ZBA quorum last month, so we couldn't conduct that meeting. They had also filed an application for the actual use with the Planning Commission. So the Planning Commission went ahead and held their hearing on this matter. The Planning Commission did approve, and you'll see this again a little later, they did approve the group daycare home. However, in doing so, they had to approve it subject to the receipt of a variance, which is what they did. The Planning Commission, under the statute and under the zoning ordinance, they don't have the authority to issue variances, so it has to come before you. Again, just a little bit of background. I think this is extremely important, and this was made available to the Planning Commission as well. In Michigan, under the child care licensing regulations or rules, and I included a copy, or at least a portion of them in your packet, for group daycare, group child care homes, the state only requires 600 square feet. Where the city of Cadillac came up with the 5,000, I don't know, but nonetheless, that's what's in the regulations. And as indicated, the applicants, there's a word left out here, they want to provide, or can provide, I should say, 2,000 square feet. Under the state rules, again, you only need 600 square feet. Interestingly, the play area may be located on the premises of the child care home, or it doesn't have to be. It can be within a reasonable walking distance. And reasonable is not defined, but I did talk with state officials. And in this case, the Lincoln Elementary School playground is about 300 feet away via a sidewalk, and that would satisfy the state requirement for the outdoor play space requirements. So I think it's extremely important. Also, under state laws, fencing of the play area is not mandatory, although the applicants are going to provide a fence. So essentially, I guess what I'm getting at here is what the applicants are proposing is significantly more stringent than what the state requires. Just for your information, there are 4 registered group daycare or child care homes in the city. The closest one to this one, as the crow flies, so to speak, is fairly distant, several thousand feet away. And so we're not looking at a collection, you might say, of group daycare homes in a certain area. This one would be somewhat isolated. Over the years, there have been no reported neighborhood issues or complaints with respect to group daycare or group child care homes. The other 4 are all located within single-family neighborhoods surrounded by single-family dwellings, and 2 of those have less than the 5,000 square feet of play space. One has about a little over 3,200. The other one has about 4,500. Those were approved some time ago before I was around, so I'm assuming they went through the variance process, although I wouldn't guarantee it. In the case of this property, 317 Air Street, it's a corner lot, buffered on 2 sides by streets. As I mentioned, it's a little over 5,000 square feet in area. This is consistent with the sizes of neighborhood parcels. It's a well-maintained site. It's zoned RMH, residential mobile home. It contains a stick-built home. Again, it's located in a residential neighborhood, and Lincoln Elementary School, the playground's about 300 feet west of the site, connected by a relatively new sidewalk, in fact. There are 5 review standards that the ZBA uses in making a determination as to whether or not a variance is warranted or should be issued. Very quickly, the variance shall not impair an adequate supply of light and air to adjacent property, shall not unreasonably increase congestion on the public streets, shall not increase the danger of fire or endanger the public safety, shall not unreasonably diminish established property values within the area, and in all other respects shall not impair or diminish the public health, safety, comfort, morals, or welfare of the inhabitants of the city. Those standards were looked at by staff, and we'll give you our opinion as to whether or not they have been met in just a second. Again, I already mentioned this. The site is a little over 5,000 square feet. It's estimated that about 45%, almost 2,300 of the site is occupied by the home and the garage. And again, they're centrally located, so it kind of disrupts the ability to add more than the 2,000 square feet of play area that they're suggesting, unless you were to supposedly fence the entire site, which is not reasonable. Staff looked at, is there any possibility for acquiring and assembling adjacent or abutting property in order to increase the size of the outdoor play space, and it wasn't practical. As mentioned, city streets border the site on the south and west. The lots to the north and east possess single-family dwellings, and they don't have any excess yard area that might be acquired. Very quickly again, staff did review the standards of the ordinance. It was our opinion that the variance standards were met. We found that the variance is not anticipated to impair the supply of light and air to adjacent properties. We found that Air and Wheeler Streets, and I talked with the city engineer on this, have sufficient design capacity to accommodate the very modest increase in traffic volumes resulting from the group daycare home. Essentially, you're only talking about an additional 6 to 8 trips, or cars, I should say, a day off and on, so not significant at all. The second one, we did talk to the fire department. The variance is not anticipated to increase the danger of fire or endanger the public safety. And very importantly, the operation is subject to inspection and licensing by the Child Care Licensing Division of the Michigan Department of Human Services. The variance is not anticipated to diminish property values. The design of the proposed play space will retain a residential character similar to what you find in the backyards of homes throughout the community. Something that's kind of interesting too is in terms of the use of outdoor play space, we examined the other 4 group daycare facilities, and what we found is that the time devoted to the use of play space, we also looked, I should say, at family daycare. The time that's really devoted to the use of outdoor play space tends to be limited. Oftentimes, the young ages of the typical child care patrons, in many cases they're babies or young toddlers, tend not to use the outdoor very often. And if they do, obviously they're occupied by adults. And also in Cadillac, whether you think it's good or bad, we have a lot of inclement weather, and it really does limit the amount of outdoor playtime that tends to be experienced by these types of operation. And the requested variance is not anticipated to impair the public health, safety, comfort, morals, or welfare of the inhabitants of the city. Again, just another shot of the location of the structure. We did receive some time ago, we actually did a number of public notifications on this, more than usual. Originally, we did a notice in the newspaper, and we sent out notices to all property owners and residents within 300 feet. We replicated that. We did it again because we had to, could not meet last month. So folks got a lot of notices from us. In fact, I had one lady call and say, you've sent me like 4 notices or something, or 2, do I really need to come to this meeting? I said, no, if you have any comments, I'll take them. We did get a couple notices, or a couple communications. Donald Telgenoff, Mr. Telgenoff, and let me go to a map. Be a lot easier. Mr. Telgenoff owns this house, the property right next door to the east of the subject site. He rents the home. He lives in the city of Cadillac, but he rents that home, and he's indicated to me, both verbally and in communication, that he thinks these are great folks. He's trying to sell the house, and he was a little concerned that maybe having a group daycare operation there might impact it. The other 2 folks, they sent a combined letter. I believe one's a renter, but it doesn't matter. They live somewhat distant from the site, but nonetheless, their concern was whether or not a facility, whether or not a group daycare home was appropriate for this location. There were no other communications, no other letters, telephone calls, or the like. Essentially, your job tonight is based on a determination of compliance with those standards that I went over. You can approve with conditions, or deny this, and that should say just variance application to allow the outdoor play space to be reduced to 2,000 square feet. As I mentioned, we're of the opinion, staff is, that the standards have been met. And I'd like to go through quickly, and then we'll end it up with the staff recommendation. Again, we believe the variance standards of section 4669-4 have been met. As I went over, the state licensing rules for group daycare or group child care homes requires not less than 600 square feet. The applicants are proposing 2,000, so what they're proposing is over 3 times the space required. Additionally, the applicants can freely utilize Lincoln Elementary School, the playground, anytime they want. The playground is located about 300 feet west. It's connected via a public sidewalk. It's our opinion that the walking distance is reasonable per state guidelines. We did, as indicated earlier, a review of site conditions indicates there is no opportunity to increase the size of the site pursuant to the acquisition of surrounding property. The proposed play area, which quite frankly is being used right now for the family daycare operation, it's positioned on the north and the west side of the dwelling, and as such, it's shielded from the abutting property, the one right next door to the east, and the property to the north is buffered via a privacy fence, and the other 2 sides are the public street. As I mentioned, within the city, there are 4 registered group daycare or childcare homes. 2 possess less than 5,000 square feet of outdoor play area. And whether it's these 2 or all 4, there have been no reported issues associated with these homes. They're located in residential neighborhoods surrounded by residential dwellings. 6, staff did not believe the reduction in play space would negatively impact the general enjoyment of the existing uses of the adjacent property. The applicant herself, they propose to continue use of the dwelling in which this will take place for residential occupancy. As noted, they live there. Surrounding homes may continue to be used for residential purposes, and there's no evidence to indicate the reduction in play space will result in objectionable impacts. And then lastly, the Planning Commission, although they can't grant variances in considering this request, they gave significant consideration to, for example, the outdoor play space. And the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the group child care home, finding the use to be compatible with surrounding properties in the neighborhood. And the Commission did not find the reduction in outdoor play space to be a detriment to the use or the neighborhood. And as indicated, they did approve it. However, they approved it subject to the receipt of a variance. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Mr. Chair, the Petersons are here, and I would suggest that perhaps you give them an opportunity to, before you deliberate, to add anything they might want to add. Maybe, Joshua, you could kind of indicate something I should have mentioned, and maybe he will, is the hours of operation, too. Right now, at least, it's just Monday through Wednesday, as I recall.
Monday through Friday.
Friday, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Not on the weekends. Well, you can go ahead. You can.
Yeah, state your name and address.
Joshua Peterson, 317 Ayer Street.
Okay.
Ashley Peterson, 317 Ayer Street.
Yeah, just briefly, our hours are 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. We're not going to do weekends, and normally, like you said, the outside time is limited. We do outside time roughly after lunch.
Yeah.
Usually after lunch, we'll do an outside. You know, it's probably only maybe an hour at the most. And winter's coming, so we're not going to be able to do it then. But we're just kind of trying to get a fence up, just kind of for safety for the kids, you know, that there is 2 streets there in a corner, and people do run the stop signs and stuff, so we're just thinking more of along the lines of safety, you know. We're not trying to, you know, negatively affect the community in any way. We're just kind of trying to put a little safety there for us, and also we'd like you know, to consider that Lincoln is accessible right there, so I think that's about it. Think of anything? Unless you have questions,
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What part of the yard do you use primarily for when you're out playing? Is it the north side or the northwest or the driveway portion?
The north right now.
Okay.
Yep.
We want to do the side as well,
We
where
wanna
the
do the-
hedges are.
Yep.
Remove the hedges and.
Yep, the north and the west sides. But right now, we usually just the north right now. But when we expand 212, we hope to use the west as well. Yep.
How much area will that be?
The 2 combined, the north and the west, that'd be roughly about 2,000. Yep.
Is there playground equipment out there?
There is a little bit. We don't have any big swing sets or anything bulky like that. You know, we do got like a slide, you know, a sandbox,
The littler toys.
littler
It's
toys for the
mostly-
littler kids, right?
mostly
Right.
younger ones.
Yep.
You have children of your own?
Yeah, we have 2 daughters. We got 2 daughters are 4 and 6. They attend.
What age are you taking care of then?
What's that? I'm sorry.
What's the age of the children?
Infant up until, I believe it's 12. Our youngest right now is 7 months.
Youngest is 7?
Yeah.
The oldest is 12?
Right now, I think our oldest that we have is 7, but it goes up to 12.
Yep, she comes after
After
school. We
school.
do have a few kids that come, just part-time after school. Most of the full-time kids are from 7 months to, what, like
3.
3?
How do you plan on utilizing that playground to school with school in session?
Well,
Elementary schools, there's kids out there all day long.
Yeah.
I live right in front
yeah,
of one, I know.
right. We're not gonna be able to, obviously, when school is in session. We're thinking
After school.
after school, we're thinking, during the summer would be better.
Any other questions?
Jerry, I have a question for you. My question that I asked them as far as the usable space and which side of the yard, the variance review standards, bullet point number 5, where it talks about comfort. My only question would be, has there been any comments from the neighbors regarding possible noise?
No.
Like the neighbors from the north? That's not an
We
issue?
looked at that matter too in terms of the other childcare operations, and it hasn't been an issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that would be my only concern would be, if you, per se, you had 12 kids.
And a lot of it is that the vast majority of the operations, we haven't had a single instance where there are 12 children, for example, outside playing.
But being that they can be licensed to 12, we have to assume that
Right,
could
sure.
happen.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. But typically, as indicated, most of the time the children are not, they're children that are not in school, so they tend to be very young, babies to toddlers, so.
And also their hours, the neighbors most likely are gonna be out working.
Well, but we can't assume that
Yeah, I mean,
that's
just-
the case. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
we have
still, I mean, most likely, most neighbors are gonna be working.
Yeah, our neighbor to the south does work first shift, and our neighbors to the east, they're renting, Mr. Telgenoff.
What about north? I mean, just, not that it makes a difference,
Actually,
but.
we're gonna start watching her son,
Okay. Yeah.
because she works during the day as
She's
well.
not living there, but she will be soon. They're fixing the place up.
I mean, that was my only
Yep.
concern was the ones to the north being that I drove by today. I think you were leaving when I drove by.
Oh.
Because your wife's like, why is he looking at me? Is that the fence is very close to their home, and
Yeah.
assuming that you had 12 kids out there playing at one time, I was just envisioning what that noise could possibly be, so,
Yeah.
okay.
Hers will be over there with them too.
I have a childcare near my house, and lived there now almost 8 years, and it's never been
Okay.
an issue.
Oh, you have 12 children now? there?
No, it's 6.
Six.
We're licensed for 6 right now, yeah.
How many of those play outside during the day?
Say 4 to 5, probably. We don't really let a 7-month-old get out there too much. He's a little bit, he'd like to, but
And with an L-shaped yard, do you think you can keep track of them?
I think with a smaller area, we're hoping.
Especially if it's fenced in.
Yeah, we're gonna probably just put one gate up. So we, there's one entrance in and one out. Me and my wife would be out there both watching them, so.
And it will be locked?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, a lot of this is for, my kids as well, we just want safety first, so.
But I don't think a fence is required by state law.
Not by the state. The state, by the way, is already ready to approve this, just as a point of information.
State is very lax on a lot of
Yeah.
I'm going in too far. I do a lot of these for insurance companies, so.
Yeah, the fence will entirely enclose the play area, they'll be gated. And again, we've worked the fence out, so they will be compliant with the zoning ordinance.
And if you have insurance, they will require a fence.
Right.
That's an absolute.
Any other comments? Not? Need a motion to approve or disapprove?
I'll make the motion that we approve the variance form
You have a
stated by
second?
the city.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion by Knight, supported by Bontrager, to approve the requested variance. Okay, roll call. Knight,
Yes.
Alt,
Yes.
Bontrager,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Okay, it's approved.
Thank
Good
you,
luck.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, folks. I'll be in touch with you.
Okay.
That's all we have, Mr. Chair.
Sorry?
That's all we have.
Okay. Then I guess we're adjourned.
Thanks for coming tonight, folks.
Something else on the calendar?